Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Since I've been asked to keep the series going on Claressa Shields, I'm going to keep it going. And we're going to mix up the conversation because I have some videos that I want to do that are very positive about it. I don't think I've done anything negative about it. We've just been talking about things that she's been doing and how it's affected the fans, whether they support her or they don't support her. But people need to understand one thing. Claressa Shields has freedom of speech or freedom to lose fans. But also with freedom of speech, she can turn things around and gain fans. But just like a couple of you, right, it's only a handful who are obviously Claressa Shields supporters. You guys say some funny stuff in the comments. I'm over here laughing. But freedom of speech. Like this one right here. Why are you stalking this dark-skinned woman? So here it is. They call themselves Sleeping Beauty. Somehow talking about a dark-skinned woman is given obsessed. Okay, hold on. See, this is the problem. I try to read this shit and I can't. Why are you stalking this dark-skinned woman? It's given obsessed. Get a life. Leave Claressa Shields alone. You keep making videos about her. You are a stalker. And you'll hold your horse and stop taking it to the stupid. And okay, you are a stalker and is obsessed with Shields. Sounds like you are the one being colorist. You can't even keep her name out your mouth. That's sick. So all I had to say was, yo, take your ass back to sleep. And then you got this one here. Ain't no next 5 months. I ain't no enemies, no arguments or nothing, because she is literally trying to be pregnant. Because that's what she wants to do, and they family, and I get it. I get it. But I'm against us. I'm just going to be honest. Everybody to be honest. Yo, and reality. Yo. So let me just say this, right? Y'all can say what you want. Right? Because as long as you ain't cussing and carrying on, I ain't really tripping, you know. I want to hear from you because we're not going to agree. Okay? Freedom of speech, man. On my channel, we're just having a conversation. Let me make this abundantly clear. I want to first say this, right? I don't care about no fighter winning or losing because I don't have a favorite fighter. I like boxing. And I'm all about the conversation. Okay? So with Claressa Shields, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence, Wilder, goddamn Joseph Parker, Wardley, Gervonta Davis, Shakir Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, any fighter, Savannah Marshall, Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, what's her name? Baumgardner, all them females, Hannah Gabriels, I talk about all of them. But it's sometimes when you get something juicy, and when the fans demand it, I gotta keep supplying y'all. So just like Claressa Shields has a freedom of speech, the people leaving the comments have a freedom of speech. You know who else has a freedom of speech? I do. So that being said, buckle up. Let's have a conversation, man. Now, freedom of speech. Everybody talks about it like it's the golden ticket. You can say whatever you want. That's what they scream until they hear something they don't like. Then they want to tell you that you shouldn't say this. You should do that. You should do this. How about this? How about you go floss and brush your teeth? gargle with some Listerine. Matter of fact, gargle with the Listerine, floss, brush, then gargle again. It makes you brush your tongue, man. Come out here talking about freedom of speech. I'm going to speak my piece. But then when you hear something you don't like, you telling the other person not to talk. I tell you what, man. Sure. We all can say whatever we want. But that doesn't mean you're immune to what comes after. Now, this goes for everybody. Now, of course, the video is about Claressa Shields, right? One of the most decorated female boxers in history. Make sure y'all hear that shit too that I say. Don't just hear what you don't like. I give that girl her props. We're just talking about some of the pitfall areas. We know what she did. I did enough videos. I ain't gonna keep talking about it. But I don't know if there's another woman gonna come along and do what she did in the, not just the amateurs, the Olympics, man, okay? Part of the amateurs, but the Olympics is a whole nother level. I don't know if another female will come along and do what Claressa Shields did. I don't even know if another female will come along and do what Claressa Shields has done in the pros, and she's still active, okay? She's a self-proclaimed GOAT, and she does feel she's the greatest woman of all time. If you're just looking on paper, you gotta say she deserves the title. But again, we're just going on paper, resume, that's it. We're not looking at anything else. You kind of see how that title suits her. But, you know, unfortunately, lately, there's been a lot of battles outside the ring. You got all kind of beefs going on. You got everybody talking about it. Like I'm just seeing, man, you know. And that's the thing when you're creating content, right? People tend to go, what's hot, what's spicy at the moment. And right now, Claressa Shields is that sriracha sauce. You know what I mean? She's the Tabasco Texas Pete. You know what I'm saying? She's the pepper sauce right now. But I just think we got to understand when it comes to the fans, when it comes to the sponsors, even other fighters, when you look at what's going on right now, there are a lot of people, man, who I would just call it like fighting back. You know what I'm saying? They're fighting back. They want Claressa to understand that you can do and say what you want. We agree. Freedom of speech, but there's got to be some accountability, and there's going to be consequences. Okay? So you got to be ready to deal with that or lose the support of your fellow fighters and lose the support of fans and lose the support of the entire boxing community. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you this. I know a lot of people feel that, you know, they got to speak their mind. They got to speak their piece. I got to say what I got to say. But who are you damaging when you decide to say what you want to say? Because you may think, I got that off my chest, and you put that negative energy back on someone else, but really you're damaging yourself. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing happening here, man. Claressa Shields is damaging herself because what she's really testing is the public's patience. And people have run out of patience. Now, what does, you know, freedom really mean, right? When it comes to freedom of speech, I just think it's one of the most misunderstood concepts of the world. People think, they really think it means I can say anything, no one can stop me. I mean, that's half right, all right? But the other half is the one that nobody likes. It means you can say anything, but you better be ready for what comes next. Okay? Now, you may have somebody who says something about Claressa Shields, and then she sees them, and like she says, she's going to make you stand on what you said, and she even said something about punching people in the mouth. Those aren't my words. That's what she said on $1 million worth of game, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's like 90% of what she said. I'm not directly quoted, but that's what, I'm paraphrasing, like 90% accuracy, okay? 90% accurate. So I get it if someone says something and you go back and they weren't prepared for what comes next. Okay, but once you do that, well then they're going to counter your counter. So now it's a whole bunch of people need to be prepared what comes next, because the back and forth. Somebody got to be the adult and leave that shit alone. But when you say something controversial, you don't lose your freedom. You activate other people's freedom to react. And that's why a guy like me is doing all these videos. Because you got to think, Hood Champion, I still talk about all the other boxing stuff, you know what I mean? But it's like, yo, he really going hard on this because, look, my freedom to react has been activated. And this is very, very interesting to me. So what happens when you decide to do things like what Claressa has chosen to do, man? Look, you get criticized, potentially get boycotted. Fans can stop following you. They'll disagree with you or just walk away from supporting you. You know what I'm saying? That's their freedom of speech too. But we have seen it have a reverse effect. All of a sudden, depending on your fan base and the people who attention you get, some people will gravitate towards the drama. And you can find your profile growing even bigger, but not for the right reasons. And I just think this is where Claressa is stuck. She talks, fans react. Instead of letting it slide, she fights back like it's a 12-round title defense on Twitter. Now, I have to admit, and I'm going to do another video about it, she has gone a bit quiet. I don't know what that means. Okay? But on this channel, we speculate, we assume, we have a conversation, we dialogue, and we predict. And I have a feeling it's not what Layla Ali said. I do think Claressa Shields is going to respond, but she wants to be smart about what she's doing. Or she's just not going to say anything, which I think will be the smartest. But also, with the fact that this guy came out and was talking about a potential lawsuit against her and Papoose. See, people out here, y'all forgetting, he was saying that he believed she was defaming his character and slandering his name and saying a bunch of untruths about him. And then he said Papoose, hit him with the books and shit. So that's 2 lawsuits. One against her, one against Papoose. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think the guy should sue. I understand the shit about the books. But see, I wasn't there. I don't know what the truth is. I do know I've seen the guy's videos, and he goes a bit overboard with the acting like you're another celebrity and running up on you, trying to hug you and all that. I get it. Some of that stuff's funny, but I'll be honest with you. If I was walking in the airport and he ran up on me doing that, I'll be honest with you, I'd headbutt him, you know what I'm saying? He get close enough to me to do that, I'm headbutting, I'm breaking your nose, I don't care. And it ain't gonna stop there. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get bing-binged, stomped out. Fucking police guy had to pull me off here. I don't care if I'm with my wife and my kids. Because I don't know what you're doing. So I do understand the reaction. But if you knew who he was, you see, I didn't even know the guy's face. Now I know his face. But if you knew who he was and you knew what he does, you just push on and breeze. But at the same time, I don't really fault. I don't believe in putting your hands on people. I don't believe in violence. But if it's one of those fight or flight things where you feel like you're protecting your family, yourself, I totally understand the reaction. But I don't really know about the lawsuit thing. Leave her alone, leave the guy alone. This is entertainment. Matter of fact, you got more followers. This Houston guy, he got more followers, he got more attention. Good publicity, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunate circumstances, but good publicity. What you were trying to get, you got. Okay? You got the publicity you wanted. But I just think, man, social media still is just not the ring. Okay? You can't win arguments with uppercuts. And I want to make sure this is crystal clear. I don't condone violence. But I do believe in protecting yourself. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I make that abundantly clear. But there are consequences, man. And that's what we got to understand. So somebody want to talk about Papooses' reaction. Look, I really have much to say, but somebody was asking me. I think that's a consequence of the guy's reaction to coming out there harassing her. Look, Papoose wouldn't have never reacted or done anything if the guy would have just left him the F alone. If he would have never came over there, we wouldn't be talking about this. And then having a slick mouth. But look, it doesn't matter. No one should put their hands on you. Period. You know what I'm saying? Unless they feel like there's a threat. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to wait to see if it's a threat. If I perceive there's a bit of a threat, I'm going all the way. I'm not waiting to see, oh yeah, this really is a threat. They have a gun aimed at me now. I'm watching everything. I'm going to recognize where there's a problem. And if I feel the kind of way, plus my PTSD kicks in, man, I'm fucking reacting. But that's why I don't go certain places. And I'm not saying people should live like that, but for me, I'm not going anywhere where I got to deal with bullshit. But it can happen anywhere. But you know what? You're going to be a prisoner in your own house. So I think that's unfortunate for her and him. But what I'll say is there are consequences of saying what you want and doing what you want. Imagine you're driving 100 miles per hour through a school zone because you just feel like it. Just like that guy who does the comedy. He just felt like running up and pulling a prank. You're free to do it. But like driving that car 100 miles per hour in a school zone, you'll lose your license, you'll lose your car, and probably your sanity when the cops show up. You know what I'm saying? That's the same energy that Claressa Shields was bringing to social media. She says what she wants and then gets shocked when people react negatively. She lashes out at journalists, fans, fighters, any and everybody. But every time she does, right, her reputation takes another hit. Sponsorships drying up, media coverage turning skeptical, fans fatigued, man, exhausted. And the sad part, Claressa is one of the most talented athletes alive. Talented. She doesn't need to do all this. Her fists can speak louder than her tweets ever could. But I just think there's a fine line between speaking truth and seeking drama. Okay? What the young boys say, we want the smoke, right? You choke on that smoke too. So be careful what fires you start. But don't get it twisted. No, I want to make sure y'all understand. I think Claressa Shields has a right to have an opinion. She has a right to do and say what she pleases. Every athlete does. Muhammad Ali, he had one. Mayweather had one. Even, Jake Paul has one. Probably too many, you know what I'm saying? But there's a big difference between speaking truth and stirring chaos. All right? Ali spoke truth to power. He stood for something bigger than himself. Claressa, she's swinging at everybody from her rivals to the fans' mothers, you know what I mean? Like she just going, she all gas, no brakes, green light, go. That's not truth. That's temper. And when anger leads the way, even facts start to sound like insults. Anger. And there's some people going to say, oh man, how could you use a word like that to describe Claressa Shields? I mean, how else do you describe somebody who's cussing and carrying on and shouting and attacking people and using obscenity? You know what I mean? They ain't happy. What do you say? Oh, they're passionate? No, they're angry. And the social media trap is where they get snagged. Claressa's social media presence is both her blessing and her curse. Last couple of weeks, she's been doing pretty good, though, because you ain't seeing too much coming out of there. But what it does give her, it gives her a platform, but also gives her instant access to conflict, because there's a lot of things floating around out there on social media. One comment from a random troll, and boom, she's in full-scale argument online. But here's the truth. Social media doesn't reward composure. it rewards chaos. People see a little bit of drama, they converge, and they just start tweet. Like Twitter, I'm on Twitter. I post stuff, but you don't see me as active on Twitter because I just look to see what's going on, anything pop up from some of the fighters. But I can't take it because that makes my head hurt. I'll be on it for about 5 minutes and gone. I can't do it. I block. You know how many different Twitter profiles that I have blocked just because of the stuff that pops up. I'm like, man, I ain't trying to see none of that or hear none of that. I can't take it. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about social media, it doesn't reward composure. It rewards the chaos. That's true, man. The more dramatic the post, the more engagement it gets. And that's unfortunate. But that's our reality, right? And that's dangerous when you're an emotional person in a high-pressure spotlight. If Claressa doesn't learn to control the narrative will control her. And this is the thing. Somebody was saying in the comments, I'm not going to go back and pull them up. There's so many comments out there. But they were saying that they feel that Papoose brings her a little bit of peace. And I'm like, all right, I don't really come out here and talk about their relationship. I'm not going to. But then they said, what if that doesn't work out? Will she blow up on social media again? I'll say this. Let's just hope for the best. You know what I'm saying? Let's hope for the best for her. Because how many of y'all have been in a relationship and found yourself not really happy with a person? Then you break up with that person and you may just be hanging out with somebody, nothing exclusive, but you just find yourself going through the motions. And then you meet somebody who's like, yo, I really like him or her or whatever, That's a nice feeling to have that connection. And if she has that, for me, I hope that they can foster and cultivate that and it can really grow into something. But I know it was one time, man, where I had this one chick and we stopped talking and I felt a little weird. I was like late 20s and shit. Felt a little weird. I was like, what the fuck is this feeling? Normally I could care less. I mean, most of them girls, I didn't even know their names and shit. I just didn't. I just had so many, I just didn't care. And I wasn't trying to be a pig or nothing. I just didn't care. But somehow I got caught slipping and shit. Found myself liking somebody. And I was like, yo. So when we stopped talking, I was figuring I'd just move on about my business. All of a sudden I found myself feeling something weird, And what I can tell you is, when you find yourself going through that shit sucks. So I can only imagine when you're a high-profile athlete, the way people were talking about, man, we're concerned if something, he seems to bring her peace, if that relationship falls apart, then what happens? Look, again, I ain't here to talk about a relationship, but this is boxing, and I'm talking about from what I went through. I was late in life, boy. I just know that feeling wasn't a nice feeling. And I'm sure it wouldn't be a nice feeling. It'd probably be 1,000 times worse because people, it's like they want to see her fail. You know what I mean? But I don't want to see that. We can have conversation about the things she said and the attitude and all that, but the relationship thing, like that shit is dangerous, man. You know what I'm saying? So I really hope that they can cultivate and foster whatever they have there. I don't have no opinion on nothing else. I just really hope she can, because if that grows into something great, I'm telling you, all the things we're talking about, you're going to see that change for the better. I think so. But I'll say this. A wise man once said, you can't be free if you're controlled by your emotions. Claressa Shields isn't a victim of the media. She's not a victim of her haters. She's been a victim of her own pride. And pride, when left unchecked, becomes a career killer. So, can she redeem herself? I think she's already kind of started because she kind of lost her voice. And you don't know what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? So maybe this is the point where she's taking the opportunity to sit back and discover humility and say, you know what, forget all this, man. But maybe she's just trying to figure out how to approach it. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe when she take back to social media, she got the weapon off safety, got it on full blast. You know what I'm saying? And go be out here firing hollow points. But I think fans love a comeback story more than anything, man. And I just think for Claressa Shields, she just needs to take a deep breath and own up to her mistakes. Take a break from the drama. Refocus on her craft. And I think she can win back a lot of fans she lost. I think she can win back fans that she turned off. And I think she can really find herself, man, with more followers, her profile growing bigger than ever, getting more opportunities. And it'll be all good. All she needs to do is remember that same discipline that made her a champion inside the ring. And bring that discipline outside the ring. Until then, she's going to keep fighting the hardest opponent she's ever faced. And that's herself. So, freedom of speech gives you a voice. And I think everybody deserves to use their voice. Don't suffer in silence. But you see, wisdom gives you a direction. And if Claressa Shields doesn't find that direction soon, she'll end up with all the freedom in the world, but no one left to listen. Because people will abandon you, doors will close, and you will become a nowherean. You'll be like Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway with the little volleyball Wilson. Well said, well said, well said, well said. Out there by yourself, man. I'm telling you, it's not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. Accountability. I talk to my son about shit like that. All four of them, but especially my oldest. Like, my man, sit back and own your shit. You know what I'm saying? Even me, I'm 50 years old, I'm pretty damn good about taking accountability. But there's some times where, you know, I find myself kind of alibiing, and I got to stop and check myself like, nah, we don't do that. You know what I mean? We don't alibi. We don't make excuses over here. And that's hard to do. But once you get in the habit of doing that, it becomes relatively easy. You know? It's not hard. It can be with anything. I mean, you know what's one of the most rewarding feelings is to know that you made a mistake or you said something or you may have done something, and then just take a deep breath and be like, and go back to whoever it is and say, hey, I apologize. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I know I said this. I know that offended you. And I'm sorry for what I said and how my words made you feel. Please accept my apology. But it takes a lot of growth to get to that point, because the person, their immediate reaction may be like, man, get your ass up out of here. Or they may be like, okay, apology accepted. You know what I mean? And if it's some little honey that you're messing with, you'll be like, all right, girl, take off them drawers. I'm just joking. If it's that guy you mess with, be like, all right, no problem. Go on and give me that purse. But the bottom line is, a lot of times when you're out here and you're taking accountability and you're apologizing or you're recognizing your flaws, you got to do that shit for yourself. You got to do it for yourself. You know what I mean? And I had to learn that. And I do that a lot. A lot of times, if I feel I get something wrong, I have no problem just, hey, I apologize. I handled that wrong. I flew off the handle. Because that's not what you want to do. You know, I think I told a story I had in one video. I ain't going to get into it, but I'm very proud of the growth that I've shown. I understand Claressa Shields. I'm telling y'all I do. You know, I do my content and talk about the little bit of drama with her because there's so much we can talk about, but I understand. I understand. But I'm not here to mentor nobody. But I understand 100% what the way she operates. I really do, man. But I'm just telling you, she gotta have the right people around her to tell her, yo. It's like a cycle. You know what I'm saying? It's like a relationship. You know, it's kind of like with the fans. The relationship with these athletes and the fans is like it really is like a relation between a boyfriend and a girlfriend. You first meet them, get to know them. Everything is good, you know, all positive. Then as you progress, things are going good, you're happy, and damn, boy. So I'm talking about relationships and caught the goddamn handyman virus. But the relationship going good and you get to like the honeymoon stage. You know, it's like with the chick you're messing with, or for your chicks, the guy you're messing with. You're spending a lot of time together, you're having plenty of sex, everything going good, no arguing, everything chill. With the fans, they supporting you, they coming out, they to your events, social media presence, everything is lovely. But then, at some point in time, there's something that you're going to do, something the person in the relationship is going to do. Or with the athlete and the fans, something the athlete's going to do or the fan's going to do or say. That's going to be like, whoa, got a little bit of a break here in this joy. You know, this bubble of love that we've created. There's a little bit of a fracture here, a little air that's deflating a little bit. And the thing is, right, when that happens, you have to address it so that you can get back and stay in that honeymoon phase. But what happens most of the time is people are like, all right, they don't say anything. And it happens once, it happens twice, it happens again, and you haven't gotten over it. This person hasn't apologized, but you haven't said anything because you don't know how to communicate. And then what happens, you get to a point to where now they may do something so minuscule to where you have no more patience left because they haven't been putting deposits into the emotional bank. So there's nothing there. So when they do some shit you don't like, to withdraw some of that patience. So your account is empty. The one little thing they do, after a while, then all of a sudden, boom, you blow up. So the honeymoon stage and everything, you got a fucking catastrophe. And this is where the relationship or the rapport can get broken. But what happens now, right? If people don't know how to communicate to repair that, a lot of times you'll see people come back together, but they just figure, oh, it's okay, we'll just get beyond it. But they don't know how to address it. So now you had this one big blow up. In relationships, whether it's man and woman, or with an athlete and fans. And now you continue on this cycle, and you're back in the honeymoon stage, and you're feeling good and kind of good, right? And you're still back to sex and this and that, and then something else happens. But you don't have the patience you had initially. Another blow up. But this time, maybe somebody puts their hands on you. Maybe somebody cusses hard at you. Maybe somebody throws something at you. So what happens now is you have something really bad going on. Now you have abuse. And if you don't resolve those things, then what's going to end up happening is the relationship is going to come to a complete end, or somebody can go their ass to jail. And with fans, it's going to be a thing where, and the athlete just won't get any support. You see? And then there's a whole victim stance thing. Somebody come and maybe they apologize, but you still don't address the feelings and what's still existing. And you're thinking you're getting back to that honeymoon stage, but you're not. You're just putting Band-Aid fixes. And for Claressa Shields, I really think for her and her fans, and the relationship between her and her fans and a lot of people she's turned off, she can't do no Band-Aid fix. She needs to really come out here and be consistent. Because trust me, it's just like in a relationship. Because that's what the athletes have with fans. They're just sitting back waiting for you to do the shit again. They're just waiting. And as soon as you do it, there it goes. We knew it. That's why it's best sometimes in some relationships just to go separate ways, man. I don't care how good the sex was. I don't care how good she cooked. I don't care how she spoil you, buy you this, buy you that. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. If you don't have kids especially, get out of that shit. But, I know with kids is difficult. I understand. But like with Claressa and the fans, I'm telling you what's going to happen if she doesn't, in my opinion, if she doesn't get beyond this, especially knowing when and how to use her voice. Because right now is where she should be acquiring the wisdom and being like, yeah, this shit ain't work out the way I thought it would. But, she got to find that direction immediately. Because if not, she going to end up with all, like I said, all the freedom in the world and no one left to listen. It's her athlete and fans. Same shit with relationships. It's crazy. Anyway, I wish her the best of luck. But for any of y'all out there talking about, oh man, you're doing another video about Claressa Shields. Easy, McNicholas. Yes, I am. I'm about to do one on Devin Haney right now. What you gonna tell me? Don't do videos on Devin Haney? Huh? Get out of here with that bullshit. It's a boxing channel. She's a boxer. We talk about her. We talk about the boxing. We talk about the drama. We have conversation. Remember, man, hood champion boxing and sports. Speculate, assume, predict. Dialogue and predict. Speculate, assume, dialogue and predict. That's what we do. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. If you like the content, become a member to the channel. Leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. I'm in the breeze.